In the vibrant village of Alife, known for its bustling markets and deep-rooted traditions, lived Morenikeji, a young woman with an extraordinary talent for fashion design. She lived a quiet life, overshadowed by the harsh realities of her family dynamics. Her stepmother, Ajoke, harbored a deep-seated envy towards Morenikeji's natural abilities, leading her to concoct a devious plan. One fateful evening, Ajoke revealed a chilling truth to Morenikeji. She had surreptitiously transferred Morenikeji's destiny to her own daughter, Temilade, in hopes of securing a more prosperous future for her. Morenikeji was stunned, her heart sinking as the gravity of her stepmother's betrayal dawned on her. Fearing Ajoke's wrath and potential further schemes, she reluctantly agreed to teach Temilade the secrets of her craft. As Morenikeji taught Temilade the intricate art of taking body measurements and sketching designs, she couldn't help but feel a pang of betrayal, her dreams and aspirations being handed over to someone who had never once shown an interest in the craft. Yet, in the shadows of her despair, Morenikeji's resolve began to harden. She would not let this act of treachery define her fate. With a plan in mind, Ajoke prepared Temilade for an audience with the Queen of Alife, a woman known for her love of exquisite garments and her patronage of the arts. Morenikeji, under the guise of assisting her stepsister, was forced to remain in the background, her talents hidden behind the facade of Temilade's newfound skill. Upon their arrival at the magnificent palace, Morenikeji was struck by the grandeur and the opulent decorations that adorned every hall and chamber. However, her awe was tinged with sadness, as she knew that any praise received today would not be hers to claim. As they were ushered into the queen's presence, Ajoke introduced Temilade as the gifted seamstress who had caught the royal eye with her exceptional designs, a lie skillfully woven and presented with a mother's convincing pride. The queen, gracious and discerning, welcomed them warmly. She spoke of the garments she had envisioned, garments that would dazzle the court and reinforce her status as a monarch of impeccable taste and elegance. Entrusted with 2 rolls of expensive fabric, Temilade accepted the challenge, though her hands trembled slightly, a detail missed by all but Morenikeji. As they returned home, Morenikeji's heart was heavy. She spent long nights working on the designs, pouring her soul into every stitch and cut, crafting garments worthy of royalty. Meanwhile, Temilade watched, her understanding of the craft shallow, but her head filled with dreams of grandeur and praise whispered by her mother. When the day came to present the finished garments to the queen, the royal response was one of utter astonishment and delight. The clothes fit perfectly, each line and silhouette speaking of a master's touch. The queen, overwhelmed by the beauty of the work, lavished Temilade with praise, believing her to be the artisan. As they left the palace, Ajoke's eyes gleamed with triumph, while Morenikeji felt a silent tear trickle down her cheek. Her creations might have enchanted the queen, but her spirit was encased in a prison of silence and invisibility. Following the success of the royal garments, Temilade's reputation as a talented seamstress began to flourish across Alife, all under the false pretense meticulously maintained by Ajoke. As Morenikeji continued to be the hidden hand behind the designs, her stepsister enjoyed the accolades and attention that should have been hers. The queen, increasingly impressed with the supposed skills of Temilade, decided to extend an opportunity that would change her life forever. During another visit to the palace to deliver more of her creations, Temilade was taken aside by the queen, who expressed her desire to foster such rare talent on a global stage. With a benevolent smile, the queen offered Temilade a scholarship to a prestigious international fashion school, a place where her abilities could be honed to perfection. The news was meant to be a joyous surprise, but for Temilade, it was a moment filled with dread. Overwhelmed by the fear of exposure and conscious of her own limitations, she struggled to respond, her silence mistaken by the queen for shock and gratitude. Returning home with the incredible news, Temilade faced the daunting task of convincing her mother that the academy was beyond her capabilities. However, Ajoke, blinded by ambition and the prospect of even greater prestige, dismissed her fears. She insisted that Temilade accept the offer, seeing it as a stepping stone to greater heights, even if it meant risking eventual humiliation and disgrace. Reluctantly, Temilade agreed to go to the academy, driven not by a passion for fashion but by the relentless pressure from Ajoke. As she prepared for this new chapter, her heart was heavy with a secret she could not share, and a fear that she could not escape. Morenikeji, meanwhile, watched her stepsister's ascent with a mix of emotions, pain at her own erasure and a faint hope that perhaps, in some way, the truth might finally emerge. As the day of departure approached, the village buzzed with pride for the young woman who would represent them internationally. Only Morenikeji and Temilade knew the hollow truth beneath the surface of these celebrations. The day Temilade left for the academy was filled with a mixture of fanfare and solemnity. While the villagers celebrated her achievement, Morenikeji felt a complex blend of relief and sadness. She watched as Temilade, adorned in beautiful attire that Morenikeji herself had designed, was sent off with blessings and high hopes from the community. As Temilade traveled to the bustling city where the academy was located, her mind was fraught with anxiety. Each mile that brought her closer to her new life intensified her fear of being exposed as a fraud. Ajoke, confident in her deception, had coached her daughter on how to maintain the facade of a skilled designer, but Temilade knew her limited skills would soon be tested against the best in the field. Upon arrival, the academy's grandeur overwhelmed Temilade. The sprawling campus, filled with students from around the globe, each more talented and experienced than she, only deepened her sense of impending doom. Her introduction to the faculty and fellow students was a blur of compliments and expectations, words that felt like weights around her neck. Meanwhile, back in Alife, Morenikeji found herself in an unexpected position of freedom. With Temilade away, she had more time to explore her own designs more openly, albeit still under her stepsister's name. Yet each piece she created was a bittersweet reminder of the recognition she had been denied. As Temilade's first day at the academy dawned, she faced her greatest challenge yet. The instructors, eager to see the talents of the young woman recommended by a queen, asked her to demonstrate her skills in a preliminary assessment. Temilade, barely able to thread a needle under pressure, managed a clumsy and barely passable performance that left the instructors puzzled but patient, attributing her nervousness to the new environment. The gap between her actual abilities and the expectations of her teachers and peers became a chasm that Temilade could not bridge. With each passing day, the fear of being discovered grew, as did her isolation, for she kept at a distance to guard her secret. In Alife, as Morenikeji's designs continued to gain local acclaim, she started to receive small commissions for her work, her confidence in her craft growing even as her sister's facade began to crumble far away. As weeks turned into months, Temilade's struggle at the academy became increasingly apparent. Tasked with complex designs and technical challenges, her inability to keep pace with her peers became more noticeable. The initial patience shown by the tutors began to wane as Temilade repeatedly failed to meet the standards expected of someone with her supposed background. Back in Alife, Morenikeji, feeling a sense of responsibility and guilt over her stepsister's predicament, continued to send designs to Temilade, hoping to help her at least somewhat fulfill the expectations placed upon her. Each design sent was more detailed, accompanied by step-by-step instructions, but the physical distance made it impossible for Morenikeji to provide the hands-on guidance Temilade desperately needed. Meanwhile, the academy, a place where creativity and skill were to be nurtured, became a source of dread for Temilade. Her classmates, initially welcoming and curious, began to suspect that not all was as it seemed. Whispers and sideways glances followed her in the hallways, and her isolation grew. One particularly difficult day, during a crucial class that involved the creation of a sophisticated garment from scratch, Temilade's facade finally began to crack openly. Her trembling hands could barely hold the fabric steady, and her cuts were all wrong, the fabric wasted under her unsure blade. The instructor, taken aback by such blatant lack of skill, pulled her aside, questioning her about her foundational training. Temilade, cornered and without an answer, muttered excuses that did little to assuage her teacher's growing doubts. As the truth threatened to surface, Temilade felt the walls closing in. She phoned a joke, her voice tinged with desperation, but instead of sympathy, she received admonishment. A joke, fearful of the shame and scandal that would fall upon them if the truth were discovered, harshly instructed Temilade to find a way to persevere and keep their secret safe. Feeling abandoned and overwhelmed, Temilade realized she was truly alone in her journey. That night, she lay awake, tormented by anxiety and a deep-seated fear of the impending day when her world would come crashing down. Back in Alife, as Morenikeji worked late into the night on another set of designs to send to her sister, she couldn't help but feel a spark of hope that maybe, just maybe, the truth of her own talent would one day come to light. The inevitable day arrived when Temilade could no longer hide her lack of skills. During a major project review, where each student was expected to present a complex garment they had independently designed and sewn, the stark difference between her abilities and those of her peers became undeniably clear. As Temilade stood before the class, her project in hand, a poorly constructed dress that bore the signs of her untrained hands, her heart raced with fear. The fabric was misaligned, the stitches uneven, and the overall design lacked the sophistication and finesse expected at such a level of study. The room fell into an uncomfortable silence as the instructors and students examined her work. The lead instructor, a seasoned designer with years of experience in both fashion and education, took a deep breath before addressing Temilade. He expressed his confusion and disappointment, questioning how someone recommended by a queen could present work that seemed more amateur than artisan. Temilade stumbled through her explanation, her voice barely above a whisper, her usual excuses failing to hold any weight. Back in Alife, Morenikeji received a frantic call from Temilade late that evening. Through tears, Temilade confessed the day's disastrous outcome and admitted that her exposure was imminent. Morenikeji, her heart aching for her sister despite everything, tried to offer words of comfort but knew that the situation was spiraling beyond their control. As the news of Temilade's failure began to spread across the academy, the faculty decided to take action. They contacted the queen to inform her of the situation, seeking guidance on how to handle a scholarship student who seemed to have misrepresented her abilities. The queen, shocked and embarrassed by the revelation, requested Temilade's immediate return to Alife to address the matter personally. Upon receiving the summons from the queen, Ajoke was gripped with panic. The reputation of her family and the future she had so carefully constructed for Temilade were crumbling. She blamed Temilade for not being able to maintain the facade, oblivious to the impossible position she had put her daughter in. Meanwhile, Morenikeji, reflecting on the unfolding events, felt a complex mix of relief and sorrow. While part of her wished for her own talents to be recognized, she dreaded the impact this scandal would have on her family. She knew that the return of her stepsister could either lead to her own liberation or deeper entanglement in the web of lies spun by Ajoke. Temilade's return to Alife was a stark contrast to her departure. Gone were the cheers and celebratory send-offs. In their place was a palpable tension as she stepped off the train, her head bowed in shame. The news of her premature return and the circumstances surrounding it had already begun to ripple through the village, stirring whispers and speculation. Ajoke met her at the station with a strained expression, her eyes darting nervously around the gathering crowd. She hurried Temilade away, muttering reassurances while internally seething at the embarrassment her daughter had caused. Once home, behind closed doors, Ajoke's facade crumbled, and she berated Temilade for her failure to uphold the deceit. Meanwhile, the queen, deeply troubled by the scandal and its implications for her judgment, summoned Morenikeji to the palace. Unknown to Ajoke and Temilade, the queen had begun her own inquiries after the academy's call, which led to revelations about Morenikeji's role in the designs that had originally impressed her. As Morenikeji approached the palace, her emotions were a tangle of nervousness and a burgeoning hope. This could be the moment her true talent was recognized, or it could be a deeper descent into disgrace, depending on the queen's reaction. In the regal confines of the palace, Morenikeji was met with a mixture of curiosity and sympathy from the queen. After a gentle but probing conversation, Morenikeji revealed the full extent of the deception, that it was she, not Temilade, who had created every garment that had enchanted the queen. The revelation was met with a stunned silence, followed by the queen's thoughtful nod. The queen, both impressed by Morenikeji's skill and angered by the deceit, decided to rectify the situation. She publicly acknowledged Morenikeji as the true talent behind the designs and extended to her the opportunities and recognition that had been falsely attributed to Temilade. She offered Morenikeji a place in a prestigious local artisans guild and the patronage to develop her craft properly, under her own name. Back at home, as news of Morenikeji's vindication spread, Adewale faced the harsh censure of the community. Temilade, feeling both relieved that the charade was over and guilty for her part in it, sought to make amends with Morenikeji. Morenikeji, her spirit buoyed by the queen's support and the community's recognition, embraced her new role with a sense of purpose and pride. She forgave Temilade, understanding the pressure she had been under, and focused on building her future, one stitch at a time. With the truth now revealed and Morenikeji recognized as the genuine talent, her life took a significant turn. Under the queen's patronage, Morenikeji began to receive commissions not only from the royal household but also from influential figures throughout the region. Her designs, celebrated for their authenticity and exquisite craftsmanship, soon became the epitome of fashion in Alife. Morenikeji set up a small studio within the village, where she employed several assistants, training them in the art of tailoring and design. This not only helped in managing the increasing workload but also uplifted the local economy by providing jobs and skills to the community. Meanwhile, the queen, eager to rectify the wrongs and bolster Morenikeji's career, organized a grand exhibition to showcase her work. The event was to be attended by other royalty, dignitaries, and fashion aficionados from neighboring regions. This was Morenikeji's opportunity to shine on a larger stage, a moment she had dreamt of but never dared to believe would happen. As the day of the exhibition approached, Morenikeji worked tirelessly, pouring her heart into each piece, ensuring that every garment was a testament to her journey and her resilience. Her collection featured traditional Yoruba textiles and patterns, infused with contemporary cuts and styles, a blend that honored her heritage while pushing the boundaries of modern fashion. On the day of the exhibition, the palace grounds were transformed into a vibrant showcase of color and creativity. As guests arrived, they were captivated by the array of garments displayed, each piece telling a story of triumph and artistry. Morenikeji, dressed in one of her most intricate designs, greeted her guests with a quiet confidence that had grown from her recent experiences. The queen, watching from the sidelines, felt a deep sense of pride in her decision to support Morenikeji. Her initial misjudgment had led to the discovery of a true talent who could now rightfully claim her place in the world of design. The exhibition was a resounding success, with several guests placing orders and expressing interest in collaborating with Morenikeji. Her story, once marked by deception and hidden truths, had transformed into one of success and recognition. In the wake of the exhibition, Morenikeji's relationship with her family, particularly with Adewale and Temilade, began to heal. Adewale, having seen the error of her ways, sought forgiveness from her stepdaughter, and while the road to reconciliation was long, Morenikeji's newfound success and generous heart led her to give Adewale a chance to make amends. As the village of Alife buzzed with talk of Morenikeji's achievements, she knew that while the fabrics she wove were beautiful, the most important threads were those that reconnected her with her family and community, weaving a tapestry of forgiveness and future hope. As Morenikeji's reputation flourished, so too did her personal life begin to evolve in unexpected ways. Her success brought not only professional fulfillment but also attracted the attention of Prince Adewale, the Queen's nephew, known for his philanthropic endeavors and keen interest in the arts. Prince Adewale, charmed by both Morenikeji's talent and her resilience, sought her company frequently, attending her studio to discuss designs and the potential for using fashion as a tool for social change. As their interactions became more frequent, a mutual admiration developed between them, blossoming gradually into a deeper affection. Meanwhile, Ajoke, witnessing the growing closeness between her stepdaughter and the prince, was torn between her old instincts for manipulation and her genuine desire for redemption. The thought of Morenikeji potentially becoming part of the royal family stirred old ambitions, but remembering the consequences of her past actions, she hesitated, fearful of causing more harm. One evening, as Morenikeji and Prince Adewale walked through the gardens discussing a charity event he was organizing, Adewale confided in Morenikeji about his past struggles with finding genuine connections due to his status. Moved by his openness, Morenikeji shared her own story of betrayal and triumph, revealing the depth of the deception she had overcome. This exchange deepened their bond, making their connection more profound and genuine. Adewale, impressed by Morenikeji's strength and integrity, saw in her not just a partner in advocacy but potentially in life. However, he chose to proceed cautiously, mindful of the complexities of her family dynamics. Back in her studio, as Morenikeji worked late into the night, Ajoke visited unexpectedly. In a moment of vulnerability, Ajoke revealed more about her past, the ambitions that had driven her to deceit and the regrets that haunted her. She spoke of her late husband, Morenikeji's father, and the love they had shared before his untimely death, which had driven her to desperate measures in her grief and fear of the future. This confession brought a new understanding between them, and Morenikeji, touched by the sincerity of Ajoke's remorse, found it in her heart to forgive her. This step towards reconciliation was significant for both, as it promised a healing path forward, albeit fraught with the remnants of old wounds. As they navigated their complex relationship, Morenikeji and Ajoke began to reconstruct their family, learning to support and trust each other anew. This process, while challenging, was essential for the peace and unity of their family. The journey of healing and understanding between Morenikeji and Ajoke slowly reshaped their family dynamics, bringing a tentative peace that had long been absent from their home. As Morenikeji prepared for another significant event, a showcase of her designs to promote cultural heritage and social development, she invited Ajoke to participate in the planning, a gesture that symbolized her willingness to rebuild their relationship. Ajoke, humbled by the opportunity and eager to make amends, threw herself into the work with a newfound sense of purpose. She reached out to local artisans and vendors, helping to coordinate aspects of the event that would benefit the entire community. This involvement not only helped Ajoke regain some respect within the village but also allowed her to feel a genuine connection to Morenikeji's achievements. Meanwhile, Prince Adewale continued to be a constant presence in Morenikeji's life, their relationship deepening amid shared projects and mutual respect. As they worked together on the showcase, Adewale proposed an idea to integrate a program that would offer scholarships for young artists in the community, further blending their professional and personal aspirations. The night of the showcase arrived, and the village square was transformed into a vibrant exhibition space, illuminated by lanterns and filled with the music of local performers. Morenikeji's designs were the centerpiece, each piece telling a story of Yoruba heritage interwoven with modern aesthetics. The community, including many who had once doubted her because of her family's past, now celebrated her success and the positive impact she was creating. During the event, Prince Adewale took a moment to publicly acknowledge Morenikeji's contributions, not only as a designer but as a visionary in community development. His words, spoken with genuine admiration, made Morenikeji's heart swell with pride and affection. As the evening concluded, Ajoke stood beside Morenikeji, watching the festivities with a mixture of joy and reflection. She realized that her journey towards redemption was not only about seeking forgiveness but also about contributing positively to the lives around her. This realization marked a significant turning point for Ajoke, who vowed to continue supporting her stepdaughter's endeavors without any hidden agendas. In the days following the showcase, Morenikeji and Prince Adewale's relationship took a more formal turn. Adewale, with the consent of his family and the blessings of Morenikeji's community, proposed to Morenikeji. Overwhelmed with happiness and the prospects of their future together, Morenikeji accepted, her heart full of hope for what lay ahead. This union promised not only a personal fulfillment for Morenikeji and Adewale but also symbolized a new chapter in the story of their community, one where art, culture, and social development could flourish together. With her engagement to Prince Adewale, Morenikeji found herself at the center of a new narrative, one that wove together personal joy with professional acclaim. The upcoming wedding not only celebrated their love but also symbolized a union of social causes they both championed. In preparation for the wedding, Morenikeji decided to create a bridal collection that would showcase traditional Yoruba fabrics and techniques blended with contemporary designs. This collection was not just for her own wedding but was to be launched as part of a larger initiative to promote local artisans and sustainable fashion within Alife and beyond. As the wedding day approached, Morenikeji's studio buzzed with activity. She mentored young apprentices, imparting skills and a sense of pride in their cultural heritage. Each piece of the bridal collection was crafted with care, embodying the spirit of community and innovation that Morenikeji and Adewale wished to foster. The wedding itself was said to be a grand affair, hosted at the Royal Palace with guests from various regions and walks of life. The anticipation built not just around the event but around the unveiling of Morenikeji's bridal collection, which had garnered interest from fashion enthusiasts and cultural scholars alike. On the morning of the wedding, as Morenikeji donned her own bridal gown, a masterpiece of intricate beadwork and elegant design, she felt a profound connection to her roots and a hopeful gaze towards the future. Ajoke, assisting her with the final touches, shared in the joy and pride of the moment, her eyes glistening with tears of redemption. The ceremony was a beautiful blend of traditional Yoruba customs and modern touches. Prince Adewale, dressed in regal attire, awaited his bride with a smile that spoke of deep love and respect. As Morenikeji walked down the aisle, the assembly was captivated not only by her beauty but by the artistry of her gown, which told a story of resilience and creativity. Following the vows, the couple introduced the bridal collection during the reception, turning the celebration into a cultural exhibition. Each model that walked the makeshift runway was a testament to the talent and potential of Alife's artisans, inspired by Morenikeji's vision. The event received extensive coverage, further establishing Morenikeji as a pivotal figure in the fusion of traditional craftsmanship and contemporary fashion. It also sparked discussions on cultural preservation and economic development through art, fulfilling Morenikeji and Adewale's shared goal of impactful union. As the newlyweds danced under the stars, surrounded by the warmth of family, friends, and a community united by their efforts, they knew that their journey together was just beginning. They envisioned a future where their passions for art and advocacy would continue to inspire change and bring prosperity to their people. As Morenikeji and Prince Adewale settled into married life, their partnership began to profoundly influence both the cultural and economic landscapes of Alife. The success of Morenikeji's bridal collection had sparked a renewed interest in traditional crafts, leading to the establishment of an artisan cooperative. This initiative, supported by Adewale's connections and Morenikeji's expertise, aimed to empower local artisans by providing them with training, resources, and market access. Their home became a hub of creativity and strategy, where ideas for new projects and initiatives were as commonly discussed as household matters. Morenikeji continued to design, her collections now infused with symbols of her journey and the stories of the people in her community. Each piece was a narrative of struggle, celebration, and hope. Meanwhile, Adewale leveraged his royal status to advocate for more significant investments in arts and education in the region. His efforts were bolstered by Morenikeji's tangible examples of how such investments could lead to sustainable development. Together, they attended conferences, spoke at cultural summits, and hosted dignitaries, consistently promoting their vision of a culturally rich and economically stable community. In one of their most ambitious projects, Morenikeji and Adewale planned a cultural festival that would bring together artists, musicians, craftsmen, and storytellers from across the region. The festival not only aimed to celebrate the rich heritage of Yoruba culture but also to create a platform for emerging talents to showcase their work to a broader audience. As the festival planning progressed, Morenikeji discovered she was expecting their first child. The news brought immense joy to the couple and their families, symbolizing a new chapter in their lives. Morenikeji, ever the visionary, saw this as an opportunity to further embed her values into her work, thinking about how the festival could also include programs for children and young families, ensuring that the appreciation and continuation of cultural heritage passed on to the next generation. The festival was a resounding success, drawing crowds that exceeded expectations and receiving positive media coverage that highlighted the cultural wealth of Alife. Morenikeji's designs, featured prominently at the event, received acclaim for their innovation and adherence to traditional techniques, further establishing her as a leading figure in the fusion of old and new. As they moved from one success to another, Morenikeji and Adewale remained grounded in their love for each other and their shared commitment to their causes. Their evenings were often spent in quiet reflection or gentle planning, envisioning future projects that could further benefit their community. Their story became one of inspiring partnership, where love and ambition were not competing forces but complementary ones, each driving the other towards greater heights. As they looked to the future, Morenikeji and Adewale were not just building a family but a lasting legacy that would inspire generations to come. As Morenikeji and Prince Adewale continued their work, they began to consider the legacy they were creating, not only for their imminent child but for their community as well. Their efforts in promoting local arts had ignited a cultural renaissance in Alife, with young people increasingly drawn to traditional crafts and designs as viable career paths. This change brought a fresh sense of pride and possibility to the area. With the impending arrival of their first child, Morenikeji was inspired to launch a new project focused on children and education. She envisioned a series of workshops and programs that would teach young children the importance of their cultural heritage through art and storytelling. This initiative, named Roots of the Future, aimed to plant the seeds of cultural appreciation early in youth, ensuring the continuation of their traditions. Meanwhile, Prince Adewale worked to secure funding and partnerships for a new cultural center that would house both the artisan cooperative and Morenikeji's educational programs. His vision was to create a space that not only celebrated Yoruba culture but also encouraged innovation and learning across disciplines. As the cultural center took shape, Morenikeji and Adewale faced the challenge of balancing their public roles with their personal lives. Morenikeji, in particular, found herself navigating the complexities of motherhood and leadership. Her pregnancy, while a joy, also brought new considerations about how to manage her time and energies effectively. Despite these challenges, the couple remained committed to their goals. The cultural center opened to great fanfare, with exhibitions, performances, and learning spaces that drew attention from across the country. Morenikeji's Roots of the Future program was a centerpiece of the opening, showcasing interactive exhibits designed for children to engage with art and history in hands-on ways. The success of these initiatives brought Morenikeji and Adewale into the spotlight once more, not only as cultural leaders but as pioneers of a movement that bridged the old and the new. They received accolades and support from various sectors, further cementing their influence and the viability of their projects. However, as their public lives flourished, they continued to cherish their private moments together. The birth of their child, a girl named Eo, brought a new depth to their relationship and to their understanding of legacy. They saw in Eo not just the continuation of their family line but the embodiment of their hopes and dreams for the future. As Eo grew, Morenikeji and Adewale made sure she was immersed in the cultural activities they championed, hoping to instill in her the same love and respect for their heritage that they held. They envisioned a future where Eo, perhaps, would take up the mantle they had forged, continuing to weave the tapestry of culture and innovation they had begun. Their journey, marked by both triumphs and trials, was a testament to the power of vision and partnership in creating lasting change. Morenikeji and Adewale looked forward to the future with hope, knowing that the seeds they had planted would grow into a legacy that could outlive them, shaping the destiny of their community and beyond. As Eo grew under the watchful eyes and nurturing hands of Morenikeji and Prince Adewale, she became a symbol of the new generation poised to carry forward the cultural legacy her parents had so passionately cultivated. Her early years were filled with lessons that intertwined play with learning, art with history, making her a keen and curious child, deeply connected to her roots. Meanwhile, the Cultural Center became a beacon of hope and innovation in Alife. Its success spurred similar initiatives in neighboring regions, creating a network of cultural hubs that supported each other through shared resources, ideas, and exhibitions. Morenikeji and Adewale's vision of a culturally interconnected and economically vibrant Yoruba land was slowly becoming a reality. Morenikeji, now a respected figure beyond the local community, decided to write a book detailing her journey and the lessons learned in merging traditional crafts with modern business practices. Her aim was not only to share her story but also to inspire other young artists and entrepreneurs to explore and preserve their cultural heritage while making it relevant for the present day. The book, titled Weaving the Future, A Tapestry of Tradition and Innovation, was well received and became a part of curriculum in several art schools across the country. As the years passed, Eo's interest in her mother's work grew. She spent hours in Morenikeji's studio, learning the crafts that had formed the cornerstone of her family's legacy. Morenikeji, observing her daughter's genuine interest, began to mentor her, preparing her to eventually take over the leadership of the cultural center. Prince Adewale, on the other hand, continued to expand his philanthropic work, focusing on improving education and healthcare in rural areas. His efforts were recognized both nationally and internationally, bringing further credibility and support to their projects. The couple also hosted an annual cultural festival that celebrated the diversity and richness of Yoruba traditions, attracting tourists and scholars from around the world. These festivals helped foster a sense of global community and brought significant economic benefits to the local artisans by opening up new markets for their work. As Morenikeji and Adewale grew older, they began to gradually hand over the reins of their various projects to the younger generation, ensuring that the transition was smooth and that the values they championed were preserved. They took great pride in seeing how their efforts had seeded a cultural renaissance that was self-sustaining and ever-evolving. In the twilight of their active careers, Morenikeji and Adewale decided to retire to a quiet part of Alife, where they could enjoy the simple pleasures of life, gardening, reading, and enjoying the company of their grandchildren. They remained involved as advisors and patrons but took comfort in knowing that the structures they had built would continue to thrive under new leadership. Their story, a blend of love, art, and civic duty, left a lasting imprint on their community and served as an inspiring example of how individual passion, when aligned with collective effort, can effect substantial and enduring change. As Morenikeji and Prince Adewale enjoyed their retirement, reflecting on the decades of hard work and dedication to their community and culture, they often reminisced about the journey that brought them to where they were. Their life together had not only been about their love and mutual respect for each other but also about their commitment to making a positive impact on the world around them. The cultural renaissance they had sparked continued to flourish, with Eo now at the helm of the cultural center. Under her leadership, the center expanded its outreach and developed new programs that integrated technology with traditional arts, ensuring that Yoruba culture remained relevant and accessible to the younger generation. Eo, carrying the legacy of her parents, also authored several children's books that introduced traditional tales and crafts to kids across the nation and beyond. Each year, on the anniversary of the Cultural Center, a special event was held to honor Morenikeji and Adewale. These events were not just celebrations of their achievements but also reminders of the community's growth and success, which had been catalyzed by their vision and hard work. The couple, though older and less involved in the day-to-day operations, remained revered figures, their advice sought after and their approval valued. One such anniversary, Morenikeji was asked to speak. Standing before a crowd of new faces mixed with old, she shared the insights she had gained over the years. She talked about the importance of perseverance, the value of cultural identity, and the power of education. Her words resonated deeply, not only with the young people who looked up to her but also with her peers, who had witnessed the transformative effects of her and Adewale's efforts. As the celebration continued, a local historian announced the creation of a documentary that would chronicle the cultural renaissance of Alife as inspired by Morenikeji and Adewale. This project aimed to capture their story and the broader narrative of the community's revitalization through art and crafts, ensuring that their legacy would be preserved for future generations. Reflecting on their life and legacy, Morenikeji and Adewale felt a profound sense of fulfillment. They had seen their dreams come to fruition and had laid a foundation strong enough to support the aspirations of countless others. They knew that their efforts had rekindled a pride in Yoruba culture that would inspire and empower people for many years to come. In the twilight of their years, surrounded by family, friends, and a community they had helped transform, Morenikeji and Adewale understood that true success lay in the love they shared and the lives they touched. Their story was a testament to the belief that dedicated individuals can indeed change the world, and that culture and heritage are treasures to be preserved, celebrated, and built upon. The moral of their story, echoing the wisdom of the Yoruba proverb, reminded all that while many are the plans in a person's heart, it is the purpose of the community, upheld through unity and perseverance, that endures. Their lives had been a living example of this truth, a beacon for all who aspire to make a difference. Thank you for following this story. If you have any reflections or thoughts to share, please feel free to express them in the comment section. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more tales from the heart of Africa. See you in the next adventure.